Shadow of the Erdtree just solved a major mystery from the base game. I'm gonna make the case for why Metyr was the god that fled Placidusax. According to her remembrance, Metyr was a magnificent, gleaming daughter of the Greater Will itself, who we learn is the mother of all Two Fingers and Fingercreepers. We also learn from the Staff of the Great Beyond that Metyr received signs from the Greater Will from the beyond of the microcosm. Despite being broken and abandoned, she kept waiting for another message to come. I think that Metyr was attacked by the Nox, who were able to chop off a part of her body and turn that piece into the Fingerslayer Blade. According to its description, the Fingerslayer Blade is the hidden treasure of the eternal city of Nokron, a blade said to have been born of a corpse. This blood-drenched fetish is proof of the high treason committed by the eternal city and symbolizes its downfall. Cannot be wielded by those without a fate, but is said to be able to harm the Greater Will and its vassals. This should immediately bring to mind the Sacred Relic Sword, which was made out of Radagon's body by the Elden Beast. The Fingerslayer Blade looks more like a dagger compared to the Great Sword of the Sacred Relic Sword. This size difference could be because it was just a piece of a divinity as opposed to the entire corpse of a god. And since the Nox who made and used this weapon were traitors, at one point the Eternal Cities must have been devoted to the Greater Will. After all, you have to be a part of a nation to commit treason against it. We also know that the Fingerslayer Blade has the power to harm the Greater Will and its vassals, as seen by Ranni's quest. And what better way to harm the Greater Will than with a piece of the Greater Will's own kin? I'll also point out that according to Placidusax's remembrance, the Dragonlord whose seat lies at the heart of the storm beyond time is said to have been Elden Lord in the age before the Erdtree. Once his god was fled, the Lord continued to await its return. I also think it's important to note that Placidusax's god wasn't killed, but fled. And sure enough, after the boss fight with Metyr, Metyr flees by entering a microcosm. My guess is that after this attack, Metyr decided to literally go underground and start creating two fingers to act as proxies for her. I also think that as a result of this attack, Metyr became broken and was no longer able to communicate with the Greater Will. The last message Metyr would have sent would have been a distress call to the Greater Will. And once the Greater Will found out that its own daughter was under attack, I'm sure the Greater Will would want to punish the perpetrators. And I believe this response was the famous ire of the Greater Will that forced the Nox to live underground. As for what this ire might have been, I think it was sending Estelles, but I'm going to go over that in a different video, so stay tuned. I'll also point out that when you enter Placidusax's arena, his heads are pointing up, and this looks a lot like how the Two Fingers act when they're trying to get in touch with the Greater Will, almost like antenna. So I think Placidusax was mimicking the behavior he saw from Metyr in a vain attempt to re-establish contact. Although we do know that the Nox created Dragonkin soldiers, I don't think the Nox collaborated with Baal per se. My guess is they decided to strike Placidusax's god after they found out he was grievously wounded by
Baal the Dread!
I haven't seen any other firmer connections between Baal and the Nox, so there could be a enemy of my enemy is my friend type situation. I'm sure someone is going to bring this up in the comments, and while Metyr isn't expressly called a god, she is the daughter of the Greater Will, which did create the universe. So I'm more than willing to also accept that Metyr might have been a god. Now, I do have an entire video that goes into the philosophical inspirations behind the absence of the Greater Will and compares it to the famous concept of God is dead, expounded by Friedrich Nietzsche. Though I do have to admit, after this lore revelation, it would be very funny if the Greater Will didn't abandon the Lands Between, it just lost contact because someone didn't upgrade their router. Thank you so much for watching, I'd love to know what Jens think. Also let me know what types of lore videos you're most interested in. There are so many fascinating topics here with the DLC.